Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everybody?
Hey,
Run Your Mouth podcast here.
got him back.
How's it going, everybody? We've got a few fan questions in, so we're going to address those today.
Absolutely. We got Brady back in the house.
What's up, everybody?
Good to have
Brady.
you.
How's it going?
I can't believe it. We got Brady.
We're
the
running the full set this show.
Full
set, baby.
Yeah.
We need a bigger room, man. It's a lot
Got
of
some
shoulders in here.
Got some work to put in.
Let's
Absolutely.
go.
Let's get to some of these questions.
Let's get to the hot and heaviness, man.
First question: which year 2 quarterback is set to make the biggest leap this season, and why?
Who wants first?
Brady, take it away, Brady.
I'll take it first then. I think the easy answer is Lance because it looks like they're giving him the starting
Set up in
job.
a good situation.
So he's got arguably the best team out of all the year 2 quarterbacks. He's got the best team around him.
No
He may
doubt.
not have the best coaching and situation for him because the only issue with Lance is Kyle Shanahan isn't like he's never coached a guy who doesn't want to sit in the pocket and read defenses for 8 seconds. That's not, Kyle Shanahan has to now coach a different way a little bit if Trey Lance is going to play Trey Lance style. So
Do you think before we even go any further, do you think Trey Lance has the intangibles to be someone that is going to continuously allow San Francisco to have an opportunity to get back to where they were last year, which is the final game of the NFC Championship game, and the next game is
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, do you think
it's hard to tell because we didn't see much from him
at all?
And when they used him, it was kind of gimmicky.
Not in
goal line
college either.
plays. And yeah, college he wasn't super.
Didn't have a lot of games.
Not
in
a
it,
lot
though.
in
not a lot of
college to
games.
look at, yeah.
So
Are we looking at another athlete here? Or?
I think he's a great athlete. He's got a great team around him. I think like Justin Fields is a better athlete than him, but Justin Fields has no supporting cast.
If we're
he's
talking
got like 2 wide
teams-
receivers, but that's it. Like
If we're talking team-wise and situational, I think I didn't even have Trey Lance on my list only because I'm glad Brady brought him up first because for his situation, his team, the defense, the coaching, all that, I think, if you're...
Yeah, it feels
if you're
like
looking
he's
at
in the
that.
best situation to possibly succeed.
yeah, that's what we were saying about Jones last year because he was in the best situation. You
Yeah.
give him Bill Belichick, you give him
For sure.
a spot where he can't fail essentially,
And he
just
did so for the most part. I mean, he didn't play
Sure.
great, but...
yeah.
I mean, he played honestly, he played great
The
to
game
me.
he had to play.
Personally, he played great to me because he did everything that Belichick wanted him to do.
Yeah, it was a
Otherwise,
good
he
soldier.
And that's an
otherwise he would have
accomplishment in
been
itself.
otherwise he would have been pulled. I mean, he is talented enough to be able to stay on the field and do all those things. I think though the question really remains is who is going to be better.
Who's my top guy since...
Do you think Jones has a high ceiling in the Mac Jones for the New England Patriots? Do you think he has a higher ceiling than say some of the other quarterbacks? Because let's face it, he had the best year as a rookie, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to argue that. We're all on the same page that of the rookies we're speaking about,
W's.
he's had the best season
10
of those.
wins, W's.
He did great. I mean, another issue that arises with him though is he lost his OC, and now you have what Joe Judge and Matt Patricia.
I don't know. You have
calling plays for
15
and
people calling
Splitting
plays.
reps.
Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
They're splitting reps at
and
offensive
Neither
coordinator.
one of them.
That's brand new.
Neither one of them have done any offense.
I've never heard of that before.
I think
so.
correct me if I'm wrong. I think Joe Judge might have done like tight ends for a little bit, but Matt Patricia, who's a defensive coordinator, is now being your offensive line coach and your co-offensive coordinator.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
So it'll be an interesting season for them.
I got Mac Jones on falling down to the third in my list for the question. I got Trevor Lawrence at
Number
the top, and I got Zach Wilson right under him. But
Why Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he checks all the boxes as far as a quarterback goes. They added some weapons. They got Zay Jones over there. They got Christian Kirk. They added some offensive line help.
Rod and Evan Ingram.
He played well last year. He just plays for Jacksonville, and I think this year he improves. He has minus Trey Lance. I think he does have the best situation.
I want to agree with you.
Talking about
I want to agree with you, but the reason why, and I thought about taking
position-wise. I'm
I
not
thought-
talking about W's. We're talking about quarterback making the biggest leap. I think he's going to get them a few more wins this season, and I think that he's going to.
So you think only wins is what's going to equivalate to him being the year 2 quarterbacks being successful?
Well, it's tough to look at these guys, like Trevor Lawrence, who would they win 2 games last year, or four games.
Yeah, the Jaguars.
I mean, we talk about wide receivers. We talk
But he
about
played
running
good.
backs. We talk about defensive ends and linebackers getting sacks. And we don't ever talk about them guys getting wins. We don't ever talk about running backs getting wins. I think if you're getting double-digit touchdowns, right, without getting double-digit interceptions, I don't think in this case wins are going to matter then. I mean, as long as you're being productive on the field and you're not the reason why the offense is coming off the field and you're completing passes or they're drops and they were in the hands. I mean, it's things like that skew the numbers, you know?
Sure.
I mean, you know,
Dougie P's calling plays now
and it's
over
going to
them.
skew
For
the
them.
wins. I mean, when we're talking quarterbacks, I think we have to go a little bit further than just wins.
Absolutely.
I
sure.
think that we can't
For
just
sure.
sit on top of wins. I mean, because like Brady just said, right? Out of all of the quarterbacks that we're talking about in this conversation, right? Only one of them's on a good team. Maybe two. I mean, you can argue Mac Jones is on a good team, right? But
Oh, he was last year.
I mean, the team was good last year, but what's it going to do
Well,
this year?
that's
You know,
that's what I'm saying.
sure.
That's what's separating, like, you know.
Yeah, it's
the
more
only
about the
thing that's-
quarterbacks making the jump, I think, is the way the question was tailored.
Yeah.
Not about the team success personally, and
Sure.
not altogether about numbers totally either, but that does weigh into the situation.
I mean,
Right.
'cause-
I'm just saying that's compared to, like, for me having Trevor Lawrence.
Right, he
at the
didn't
top,
have-
being on a low win, like on a, you know what I mean.
He didn't have a lot of wins, but
on
he
a
had
team that didn't have a lot of wins. That's what I was just saying.
But he
For
had
him to be
over
at the top, that could be
3,000
the only
yards.
controversy
But he
for
had over
me having him
3,000
at the
yards last year. Okay, he hasn't
Yeah.
had that many
Right.
wins. I
When
mean,
you're
how
looking
many
at
more
the
yards?
play, and yeah, that's why I said he checks all the boxes.
Well, that's what I'm
why
saying.
at
How
the
many
top.
more yards is he going to get, and how many more wins do you think he's going to get in order
Doug
for him to?
Peterson's calling the plays for him over there now.
Yeah, you get a lot less of a headache now at head coach.
I think Peterson's going to help him
I think
tremendously. I don't know if it's going to help the whole team,
We'll
but
see.
I think Peterson with him, I think he can do a good number with Lawrence to help bolster him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think for him,
Get him more
I think the
comfortable.
interceptions will go down. You know, completions will go up, yards will go up a little bit.
What about QB percentage? Do we want to talk about QB percentage and completions? Like, is that not where it's the proof is in the pudding?
Well, I mean,
You know,
that's what I'm
the
saying.
fact
with
that-
Trevor Lawrence, you know, he said Trevor Lawrence would be good. I think an improvement for him is his QB percentage is going to get better under Doug Peterson.
I agree.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, an improvement for him is looking
or anybody in general.
looking comfortable in the pocket, because when I watched him last year, the dude didn't look comfortable at all. He short armed things. He was way off on passes.
Just trying to
the
make
game
something happen.
looked bigger, and that's why I referred to him as a pony in the last show. Like, the game looked bigger than what he was ready for. I hope that he's made a little bit more comfortable by the new coaching staff to where he feels a little bit more comfortable back there and he gets up to game speed. But that's my big knock on him. He looked overwhelmed the whole season, and he played the most games out of all the quarterbacks besides Mac Jones. Zach missed games. Fields didn't start all of them. Even
Trey Lance was just
Davis Mills from Houston came in later in the season as well, because Tyrod took that for
Tyrod
the
went
first
down.
5 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So, and then of course Trey Lance didn't play much at all. So, I mean, but he actually played 16 out of the 17 games, I believe.
Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor. And he did have 3,000 yards.
3,600
and
yards,
he
12 TDs.
Yeah, and he rushed for some too.
17
But
picks,
and he
though,
looked a little better as the
Yeah, see,
season
that's
went
not good.
on.
which is
but-
tied for first with Matthew Stafford, believe it or not.
Sure. But the
see-
Jaguars were bad, and there was a lot of garbage time that's going to be mixed in with that. So, like, sometimes numbers, like we always talk about, maybe don't tell the whole story on certain things. But he did look to develop some chemistry with some of the wide receivers. That team as a whole was doomed off of that coaching staff
No
last
doubt.
year. So hopefully this should pick him up a little
Yeah.
bit.
I didn't. Did
Christian
they do anything
Kirk.
offensive line wise though?
Evan Ingram.
They
Evan
did. They
Ingram.
brought in.
That's
they,
where he needs his.
they
help.
brought in somebody from Washington. We've mentioned it a couple of times.
Shrift.
Yep, however the hell you say it.
Brendan Shrift.
Oh yeah.
Pro Bowl
Sheriff.
guard. And yeah, I think they brought in a couple more.
Somebody
pieces.
throw a
I can't
flag
help-
at me.
not,
I
not
can't
top,
help
not
you
top
on
of the
that one.
line. Yeah, you looked at me like that every time I brought
Yeah.
his name. It's cool.
Because I know
One
they
day
got-
you
they
will
got
look
the-
it up. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler. He's legit football player in the league. And then
just
they brought
can't-
over a bunch of new weapons.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like what Jacksonville has been doing the past couple of years is just total wipe it wipe it clean. Let's try it this way. Wipe it clean. Let's try this. They remind me of Washington, because for years Washington would do that, and they would just wipe massive parts of their roster and just, okay, we're going to plug in all this. We're going to spend this money here, there. I think Kirk's nice. I don't think he could be a number one. I like him as a number two, definitely, but we'll see if he can be a number one. Yeah, it's big money, so you should be the number one. Do you get the same kind of stuff out of Marvin Jones? The weapons around him are pretty nice. You got Chenault, you get ETN, your backfield mate from college.
Who's been shining in camp.
No, I expect good things out of him. I think that ETN. Part of it is going to be a nice safety blanket, and maybe that'll help add some comfortability to him, in which case, or what I had talked about earlier, with just having some... He just looked rattled. He looked rattled, and I expected it earlier in the year, but I didn't see a whole lot of growth and development as I watched him.
Who do you got at the top, Charlie?
I got numbers statistically wise. I'm thinking Zach Wilson. I like the weapons that he's got around him.
Got him right underneath.
They definitely solidified options for him. They surrounded him similar to the way Cincinnati did with Joe Burrow. And then you bring in the running back, Breece Hall. You got Carter to come in, spell that. You draft Wilson. You got Elijah Moore, who came on very strong at the end of last year. You bring over Uzuma, who was a safety blanket for Joe Burrow last year. So, like, the offense looks really good. Yes, they lost Becton, but they just signed Dwayne Brown,
yep,
to take over that position.
Which I think is an upgrade.
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
In there at guard.
All pro.
Yeah. No, they've spent some money there. They have invested. So, like, I think I know Trey Lance is in a great situation coaching-wise because it's been proven defense-wise. But honestly, to me, Zach Wilson looks like he's in the best spot to me with overall weapon-wise, like young people he can grow with a nice mixture.
I agree.
With the young people, I like what you said there, because I was going to say, if the team stayed the way they are for the next 3 years, I would go Zach Wilson, because he's got the young group that's going to coerce together very nicely.
I feel like he's got the ability to become like a better version of Baker Mayfield to me. Like, that's where I kind of see his ceiling at. I don't think he's ever going to be like just wow guy. Yeah. He's going to make some good plays, but I think there's going to be turnovers mixed in there because he's going to try and make some throws that are going to be like, nah, you probably shouldn't have thrown that ball. But statistically, I like him. I think as far as like at the end of the season, looking back at it, Justin Fields is going to be the dude. And going into next year, obviously he's got the poorest set of weapons to work with. Nice running game.
And he said it. He tweeted about it like publicly and talked about it. How
who's that, Fields?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it says. I don't want to chop it up, but he made it known that he knew that he had nobody to throw to.
And that offense, it showed last year of how messed up of a situation that coaching staff and that organization was in. Because when you have Allen Robinson just completely absent from the game plan, there was just multiple things. You got a guy that retired in Jimmy Graham. I feel like they should have gone to Cole Kmet earlier. He started to step up last couple of games of the season. So, like, you got Fields working with Mooney over the offseason, and that was a focal point for them because Mooney had a good year last year, and he's definitely a speedy, reliable target for them. There's not a lot after that. There's no getting around it. Cole Clement, they should be able to grow with him as well, but I still, just like I felt last year, Justin Fields is the most talented quarterback in this group, and that's above Trey Lance's ceiling. To me, that's above all else, and I think by the end of the year, although the Bears are going to be not good, it's going to be apparent that Justin Fields is good, and they need to do some work to surround him. Not only that, but I think this coaching staff understands, as a first-time head coach coming over from the Indianapolis Colts with traces back to the Patriots as well, that this is an opportunity for us. And we do have, our rest of our roster may look shoddy, but we do have somebody right here that we can build around, and we got to do our best to highlight what he does well. And I don't think the coaching staff last year could wrap their head around that.
I can see what you're saying there, but it's hard for me to get behind it when the GM and the coach are basically cleaning house to just kind of be able to have unlimited spending power next offseason. They're just like, whatever this year.
Sure.
So it's hard for me to say, looking back at the end of this season, that I think Fields is going to look really good. I think he's just going to be average and be like, all right, well, he's our guy next year because he's still on rookie contract. Let's see what he can do when we actually invest in him, because I don't think they've invested in him yet at all.
No, I think the offense is going to invest in him. Like, play calling and design is going to be all about Justin Fields coming into this year, where it wasn't last year. It was Andy Dalton. Is it going to start?
Yeah.
And then you run Andy's offense that we already have set in place, and that doesn't fit his skill set. It would be like Trey Lance kind of last year running the Jimmy G style, and it's like, well, that's not really my game. I bring more to it. I think that's why by the end of the year that you'll be able to see the full skill set of Justin Fields that we didn't get to see last year. It looked awkward at times. It was, it was very
picked up.
It was very flashy at times.
Picked up
it
towards
was
the end.
making 39-yard runs out of an 18-yard sack. Like,
again, the talent is there, accuracy, all this stuff, decision making, just like any of the rookies that we're going to talk about. It's got to get better, obviously. Getting more comfortable in the NFL, it's got to get better, obviously. But I think by the end of the year, going into next year, when we're sitting here talking about things, Fields will be ascending. What the rest of the Bears are going to look like, I don't know. But our opinions, at least my opinion, I look for it to be trending up.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, because, again, like, he just needs help. He was the most sacked, most pressured quarterback in the league last year, and he needs help.
Yeah, no, he was running for his life, and then he was trying to make too much out of some things sometimes, and it was costing him.
Yeah.
So there was no doubt that there was a bunch of disconnect there. And the running game, which started off strong, just seemed to fade away too. Like, the whole Bears team was just like everybody was just going in different directions. It felt like when you watched them.
Agreed, absolutely.
How about you, Ed? Who you got on top?
It's a stretch. It's a huge stretch, because the more that I look and try and pick this guy, it's like it's going against everything that I would say, period, or argue against someone else if they said it. So I'm ready, but I'm going to go David Mills, right? And, you take a look around, not much has changed. They draft a guy, Machete.
John Mechie.
Mm-hmm. He gets cancer. Hopefully he ends up reigning supreme in this situation. But they signed Marlon Mack. They still have Laramie Tunsil. You got Chris Clooney, really good run blocker. Maybe the fact that Marlon Mack is coming over and has some things to prove, to show. Basically the Colts, like, hey, look, man, you guys got rid of me and you shouldn't have. This is the year to do it. So I don't know that I really like their roster overall. I mean, 1,500 yards, 7 touchdowns, not big numbers at all. But we're talking about who could do better, right? So I think
numbers in less games were very close to what Lawrence put up in 16. Like, I did a little comparison on them. Davis Mills played incredible.
Really did.
In a bad roster, like you're saying.
He really did.
And he's got a couple of guys there. I mean, I think you need more out of Brevin Jordan, who showed some flashes as a rookie at tight end, but he's got skill. You got Brandon Cooks, who's a 1,000-yard receiver every year,
no matter
he's
what.
A weapon.
Yep.
Nico Collins out of Michigan.
Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. You can almost book him for one of those. He might have caught one during the show, but Nico Collins out of Michigan, I liked him a lot last year. He started to get some playing time. He kind of had some ups and downs, so I'm not mad at the Davis Mills thing. I really am not.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him last year. What he did against the Patriots was crazy to me. I mean, the game was on. I was watching it at home, and people were like, the announcers were like, no one's ever done this against the Patriots. Like, the game starts, and they were like, this is a wash, this game. They're not going to do anything because no rookie quarterback has ever done anything against the Patriots.
Yep.
And dude, they just came out and they played for that coach, and that's kind of like why I'm rooting for the Lions. It's like I feel like this is the AFC version of the Lions.
That's fair.
And they come out every game, no matter what. It doesn't matter who's back there. It doesn't matter what name is on the back of the jersey, because the boys go out and play. And I just think that out of all the quarterbacks, I'm liking Mills the best. I mean, I like Trevor Lawrence too, and I was big on him getting drafted as Charlie was big on Fields getting drafted. And hey, I'm a Fields guy. I'm not taking Fields in this one, even though like Charlie says, the best athlete and potentially the best quarterback in that draft coming out. Brady doesn't agree. But it just the intangibles he's got. You know, I think he can do it. I don't like the Bears. I don't like Roquan Smith wanting out. You get rid of a lot of guys on defense.
Situation.
That offensive line is still ugly. You know, there's just so much that needs to happen for that to make Justin Fields look like the guy.
I don't think his leap happens
Darnell
this
Mooney.
Year. Maybe a couple years down the road.
No,
Darnell Mooney
is not as much as what I'm saying, because again, I took Zach Wilson statistically and overall because of the whole situation. The reason why I throw Justin Fields in there is because he is on this bottom of the barrel thing. Like, so if he's able to showcase and they're at least able to put him in good situations, I feel like he's going to show what he's capable of doing. It's similar to the Davis Mills type of situation.
So he has the most room to improve.
Just opportunities.
Yeah.
Just opportunities. Like I said, with he came into an offense that was put around a mobile or a immobile quarterback.
I think when you look at Mills' numbers and how many attempts, like 100 and something, 150, 160 attempts, it's like, he's easily going to come in year 2 and just blow the numbers out of the water. That's why I tried to ask you guys, like, primarily, like, what are going to be our parameters on what's going to make the quarterback look better year 2? Is it just wins? I mean, if it's just wins, then I change my mind about my pick. But numbers, if we're talking numbers and everything, Mills easily, the numbers are so low that easily, statistically, he should, no matter what, with his eyes closed, have a better year this year than he did last year. Especially if he's going to play all the games and he's starting. Yeah, it's easy. It's an easy pick for me.
I like that you said Mills, because he was going to be. If you didn't say him, I would have mentioned him as a dark horse. Because in December and January,
it's not an easy pick. Though.
No, but
I'm taking him.
If you look at December and January, he was 68% completion at just under 8 yards or 7.3 yards an attempt, and he had 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. December, January.
7.3 is higher than Justin Hurts per attempt last year too. Yeah. So I mean, that's
and now he's got his new offensive coordinator Hamilton, who is good with quarterbacks that are like him, tall and smart, because he worked with Luck, he worked with Herbert. He's a good coach, old school guy. So he said we don't need to do nothing crazy. Let's be smart and let's make good plays. That's a good thing.
I'm taking Mills. Yeah, I take Mills just because like I said, when you look at the numbers, I mean, if we're just statistics, if we're just talking numbers, I think he could easily, if not duplicate what he did last year. I think he's going to carry it on and maybe show us a little bit more. Like I said, I've always closet loved Marlon Mack. You guys know this. I love Marlon Mack. I'm a running back guy. I love the running back.
I'd like to see him be successful too, especially after having to sit out and stuff. He's got
to outwork Rex Burkhead.
For sure.
Yeah.
I
like Mack.
I got him underneath Zach Wilson and Mac Jones third, and then I got Mills, and then Justin Fields is my 5th guy. But
I also like what they're doing.
What you're saying.
I also like what they're doing with the offensive line there in Houston, because the new O-line coach with the new coaching system, he's the 2019 Jags, and that was when Leonard Fournette ran for almost 1,200 yards.
Wow.
I mean, Gardner Minshew was not good that year, and he got sacked like 30 times. So you have a good running offensive line, and you got a good running backs committee, and then just you have a new smart offensive coordinator that can make the plays easy. You don't have to have Gardner Minshew trying to be Joe Dirt on the football field, make anything happen.
Right,
lots of ad lib in his game.
And like Charlie's saying, I really like Brevin Jordan out of the U coming out. I thought that he could definitely have the intangibles to do it. Maybe the field slows down for him year 2, and maybe this guy's a lot more of a contributor this year than he was last year. Maybe he's learning how to be a little bit better of a run blocker this year in preseason, and he's going to be able to be on the field on 3rd and shorts and things like that to make it look like they're going to pass it. But he puts a shoulder into somebody. I don't know. I think David Mills has a higher ceiling than some of the other guys on some of the other teams, and I think it'd be easier if we're just talking numbers and wins. I mean, they didn't get a lot of wins last year. I forget what their record was last year. Maybe 4
or 5 wins.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, I think they can win more this year than they did last year, and I think Mills can be better this year than last year.
Yeah,
Like it.
wins and
Like it.
numbers definitely factor into that, but it's it's the eyeball test. I mean,
Yeah.
going back to last year when we did the show and stuff like that, I was big on Burrow, and it was a small sample size, but I seen the kid in college too, and it was like I'm behind him 110% already because I've seen what he's capable. He looks the part on the field, the command I've seen previously, so it's like that's a no brainer. Those are also intangibles that factor into this question. Is moving forward, it's just not about the numbers, it's just not about the team wins, because obviously some people are set up in better situations than the others. I mean, how will we really feel about Mac Jones taking over a Houston roster? You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
did we see enough from Mac Jones last year on the Patriots to say if we put him on a roster like that, he would even be mentioned in the top 3 or 4 when we're doing this show type of deal? You know what I mean? So it's more about the quarterback and how you feel all about him. But I think that pretty much wraps up that question. I'll move on to the next.
Yeah, I like